What if a simple phone call changed everything? What if on the other end, you heard something or someone calling your name? Mark thought it was just a prank, but the chilling whispers on the other end weren't so innocent. As the line went dead, a creeping presence began to follow him, watching his every move. Now, with his neighbor Sarah hearing the same terrifying voice, they're about to uncover a dark truth that has haunted their town for centuries. But the deeper they dig, the more they realize the curse is alive, and it's closer than they think. What will happen when they can't escape, when there's nowhere to hide? You won't believe how this terrifying story unfolds. Stay tuned, because the worst is yet to come. It all started with a seemingly innocent phone call. Mark had just finished his long shift at the office, drained and ready for a peaceful night. The last thing he expected was a call from an unknown number. Curiosity piqued, he answered. But instead of a voice on the other end, he was met with static. Faint whispers echoed in the background, a language he couldn't quite understand. Before he could hang up, a voice, clear as day, sent chills down his spine. "Don't hang up, Mark. We're already here." His heart raced as the line went dead. He dropped the phone, feeling the weight of the silence around him. But that night, the silence was the least of his worries. It was the presence he could feel lurking, just beyond the reach of his senses. His mind screamed to stay calm, but every fiber of his being told him to run. The next day, the unease persisted. It was as though something was different about the air. A weight that hung over everything. Mark couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Everywhere he went, his footsteps seemed to echo louder than usual, and every shadow felt like it was following him. He couldn't escape the feeling that something was waiting for him. Later that evening, his neighbor, Sarah, knocked on his door. She looked pale, her eyes wide with fear. "Mark, you won't believe me, but something strange happened last night." She explained that she had heard whispers, faint but unmistakable, coming from her phone. It was the same voice he had heard, the one that seemed to know his name. Sarah had tried to ignore it, but as the whispers continued, they grew louder, more insistent. "I'm scared, Mark," she whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "It's like they're getting closer." Mark felt a chill run down his spine. Could it be the same entity? The same force that had reached out to him? He didn't know, but the fear in Sarah's eyes told him that whatever it wasn't something they could ignore. They decided to investigate, hoping to find an explanation for what was happening. Together, they sifted through old records, local legends, anything that might shed light on the mystery. That's when they found it, a chilling tale of a lost soul, a spirit that fed off fear, and a curse that had haunted their town for centuries. The entity had a name, and it wasn't something they could easily forget. The more they uncovered, the more they realized that the curse wasn't just some ancient story. It was real, and it was closing in on them. As they spoke, the lights flickered. The temperature dropped. Mark felt a cold hand brush against his shoulder. He turned, heart pounding in his chest, but there was nothing there. Suddenly, Sarah gasped. Her phone screen lit up with a message. It was the same voice, the same chilling message from before. "We're closer than you think." A loud bang echoed through the house. Mark and Sarah rushed to the window, but it was too late. The street was empty, eerily quiet. They knew they had to act fast. They turned to the old legend for answers, desperate to find a way to stop the curse. But the deeper they dug, the more they realized that there was no escaping the evil that had been unleashed. As the night drew on, they were trapped. No phone calls, no escape routes, just the sound of their own racing hearts. The whispers grew louder, and the shadows seemed to take form. They were no longer just victims of the curse. They were part of it. And in that moment, Mark understood the true meaning of the message. Don't hang up, because when you do, it's too late. The phone rang once more. Mark didn't pick it up. This time, the voice didn't need to speak. The silence in a room grew oppressive, and as he turned to Sarah, his worst fear was realized. The shadow had come for them. It was here, and there was no escaping it.